Hello there, YouTube. It's Stefano here. Now, I've got a ZOOM Rhythm Trax RT223, and I discovered something yesterday. I took the unit out of mothballs, so to speak. So if you turn it on here, power it on, you'll notice that it says Zoom, but does nothing else. Now right now I'm running it on batteries, fresh pair of batteries, and it does the exact same thing if I use the power adapter. Where is it? Here it is, the Zoom. If I plug in the Zoom, it's not plugged in right now, but if I were to plug in this power adapter, it does the exact same thing. Now, there is one way to get out of it. I don't know if I can do this with one hand. Is you push the recording button at the same time as turning on the unit, and the unit goes into all initialization mode, so it's a hard reset of the unit. So then if you press record again, complete, and there you go, the unit works now. Anyway, I don't have a plug-in to a sound source, or rather amplified sound source, so I can't show you that, but the unit does work. So if I turn it off again and wait a few seconds, turn it back on, the unit comes back and works fine. If I turn it off and leave it off for any amount of time, it goes back to that Zoom screen. Now, check this out. I've taken off all the screws except for one, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to quickly take out the batteries. Give me 2 seconds here. There we go. I'm a little incensed with Zoom, to be honest with you, and I'll explain to you why in a second. You'll notice, I don't think it says anywhere on the label here, does it? That there are no serviceable parts inside, you know. No, sometimes it says that on these, you know, electronic units. So let's get my handy dandy screwdriver here. I've taken off all the remaining screws. There was just one so that the bottom wouldn't fall out while the batteries were in it. So bear with me here. I'm doing this with one hand. Okay, now if I can gently pry off the bottom. There we go. Alright, so here's the inside of an RT223, if you've never seen one. Not much in here except there's some drum pad things down here, and obviously electronics and connectors on. But this is what I wanted to show you right there. That is a CR2023, I believe, battery, and that most likely holds the memory of the presets and stuff and the customized kits and whatever that you can program in the RT223. Now, I suspect this unit's, I've had this unit probably for 5 or 6 years, if not more, and I suspect that that battery is dead. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace the battery and see. I think, come on, focus. Okay, it doesn't want to focus. Anyway, I'm going to replace this battery. Now, this battery is soldered in place. Okay, it's completely welded in there, tack welded, I guess, of some sort. So I'm going to remove this somehow. I'm probably going to have to undo the entire board and get up underneath. I don't know if you can see. It's hard to see, but there is a plate underneath there. Attached to 2 places on the circuit board, and then this little metal sort of tongue that sticks on top. So this is basically a battery holder, and unfortunately, because it's welded, this battery cannot be removed as is. So like I said, I'm going to take the entire thing apart, remove this battery, change it, because I suspect, let's see if it'll, I suspect that that battery is used to retain the presets, and because it's not working anymore, when you turn the unit on, it can't access the memory and therefore fails. So I think by changing this battery, it should revive the unit. I'll be back with the second part in a few seconds. So what I've done here is basically taken apart the rest of the RT223 and open it up. And you'll notice now, if you look at where the battery was, let me bring it in here. This is where the battery was, and here's the battery in question. So you'll notice it's got, let's see if I can turn this sideways here. Okay, come on, zoom for me. So you'll see it's got two little feet there. Well, those feet were in these two holes, right there and over here. And what they are is they're size indexed, I hope. I believe they're size indexed, so it's not focusing. So one size of the feet, no, it doesn't want to focus. Maybe no, it doesn't want to focus. So anyway, one size of the feet is wider than the other, so that'll give me the polarity. Now, basically, that battery, which by the way is dead. So my assumption on this problem is exactly that. It's got a dead button battery inside the unit that keeps the memory for all the drum patterns and drum setups. So that battery's dead. And I have here a good one, a 3-volt. This is a Sunbeam bought at a little dollar store here in town, CR2032. And that's exactly the battery we need. Now, what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to be outsmart Zoom here and put a holder. Now, let me bring you over to my computer here. If you can see, this is DigiKey, and if we zoom in a little bit here, I don't know if it'll catch it. You'll see that that is a 2032 button battery holder, or what they call a coin battery holder. Okay, it's not very expensive. I think it comes out to $2.30. But what I'm going to try to do, because that's what we do here in the Slandy workshop, is I'm going to try to use this. Now, what exactly is this? I don't know. It's a cap of some sort. I found it in my junk drawers. I have a whole bunch of drawers there. Let me just quickly do this scan here. You'll see all these those drawers back there. Well, all those drawers have all sorts of parts in them, and I found 2 of these. And amazingly enough, check this out. It drops right in. Look at that. So I'm going to cut this since whoops. Let's see if I can do this here. I don't know if you can see the shadow of the battery in there. So I'm going to cut it just above that, and I'm going to coil a paper clip inside the bottom, drill a small hole, and then push the paper clip out. That will go to the positive. I'm not sure which one of these two is positive. The positive hole, then I'll solder it in. And then now, this is going to be the tough part, is making a spring-like metal clip on top that will push the battery down, hold it down, and will also feed into the other connector, probably via some kind of wire, because I think this, if I pick it up, is wider than the 2 holes that I just showed you. Yeah, the holes are, let me just move this out of the way. So the holes are here and here, and this thing is going to cover both. So I'm going to have to pull a wire from both of these to feed into the metal parts that are going to make contact with the actual battery. So I'll be right back. I'm going to cut this, and then we'll see how that goes. I'll cut it with my Dremel, and then I'll be back. I've cut the that cap thing that I had found. Here's the other end. So I cut that away with my little Dremel. I made a little space. You'll see a little slot there, and that is going to line up if I can show you this here. Right here, I don't know, well, let me get something to point with. There we go. So if we look right here with my screwdriver at that hole right there, that is the positive, and this over here is the negative. And the slot I made there in this cap thing will sit right over that space. So now I just have to find a piece of metal, which I may try to remove from the actual battery. See, there's the piece right there that I would need. Now that is tack welded to that battery. I'm going to try to heat it up, but I don't believe I'll be able to remove it, but I'll try. And the other, so here we have the positive. Now the negative is right there, so I'm going to have to drill a small hole on the bottom of this thing and then wrap, as I had mentioned, wrap a paper clip up in a coil, sit it in there, and then have the end of the paper clip go through that hole and solder it in place. So that should, in theory, hold this down on the circuit board along with maybe a little bit of glue. And then that I'm going to solder there, bring it up and over, bend it so I can slip the battery underneath, and Bob's your uncle. So I've made the paper clip loop, and I drilled a small hole in the bottom of the let's see if I can get a it won't zoom in. Okay, well, I wanted to show you this thing, and it's about the best it'll zoom. So basically I made a hole in the bottom of this cap that I cut, and let's see if I can get it to zoom a little bit. Here we go. Yeah, that's better. And drill a hole and put it through. So now I'm going to fish that part of it right there through that hole right there, and then solder it on the back, which would be, if I can get it to focus, where is that now? I seem to have lost it. Right there. Right. Oops. There's two solder points here and here, so that's where it's going to solder. The battery holder has been soldered in place here. You can't really see. I wish this thing would focus. No, you don't really see. Yeah, a little bit here. If you look just above and to the right of the recording button there, that little red thing right here, whoops, right there, that's where the little foot, or rather the end of the paper clip that you see there, all curled up, goes through and into there and soldered. And now I'm going to solder this thing. Oh boy, let's see if I can zoom in on that. This is going to solder into that slot here like this. Let's see if I can do this here. Not easy at all, but something like that there, and then the battery will sit in there, and hopefully this will have enough pressure to apply to the battery and hold it in place. This was actually one of these, except a little bit smaller, and that is a picture hanging hook, which I modified. I cut, bent, and then with my handy little Dremel tool with a cutting wheel, I narrowed it. Let's see if it'll focus. I narrowed it down so that, there we go, so that it'll fit in that slot. And then I will solder that on the other side. I had to remove the entire circuit board out of the unit. I just hope I can put it all back together afterwards. But if this works, I just saved myself, well, the cost of an RT223, whatever that is now, if they even still make them. I think Zoom was selling them for $200, somewhere around there. I think I paid like $179 on eBay or something. Anyway, I figured if I can save this thing and save somebody else money that has one that has stopped functioning, you now sort of know how to go about doing this. And we'll see. Okay. Next step is to solder that piece on there, put the battery in there, hopefully it'll hold, and then reassemble the unit, fire it up, and see if it works. So the other metal piece that I was going to put on, I soldered on, and I checked it out with a multimeter. There doesn't seem to be any shorts, so we're going to do well. Now I'm going to put the battery in, see how it goes. Those are the two soldering points. They look good, and I'm going to slide the battery in there. There it is. Now I'm going to try to do this with while I'm holding the battery in place. See right there. Unfortunately, it won't focus, and it's nice and snug. It's not going anywhere, so the contact should be good. So if everything's working well, I'm going to reassemble everything and see that indeed this was the problem, and I'm pretty sure it was. The cover back on the unit and plugged it in. This time I'm using the power adapter, and as you'll recall, when I turned on the unit the first time, it showed zoom, and then it would just sit there. I had to do a hard reset using the record button to get the unit working again. Now, there we go. It works. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait 24 hours unplugged to let the battery sort of keep the memory, and I will turn the unit on again. So I'm going to turn it off right now, unplug it, and finish reassembling it, as I still have to put the back on, the bottom on, and then I will try the unit once again after having let it sit for 24 hours, and we'll see how it does.